back to another episode of Coexist. I'm Greg. This is Kenya. And we're doing like a little update on just everything that she's been having going on and premiering her new book, Bold for Women. So we're just gonna do kind of like an update and catch up on some of these questions. I didn't let her see the questions purposely because I want raw and uncut answers when it comes to this stuff. So as far as both for women, what can we expect from this book and what's in the book?
Well, for starters, bold does stand for break out of lukewarm days. I had that vision for the word bold about 12, 13 years ago when I was doing Faith's Finest Ministries. Shout out to my friend Jennifer. When we used to have the ministries together, we had an actual activity called Bold, which is burying the old. So that was the original acronym back in the day, which that activity is in here.
Okay.
Expectant, obviously, things from the book that we can expect is interactive activities. There's videos in there as well. We also have a prayer in the intro of the book on basically you can pray on your own before you start the book. And then there's also a prayer in it that I do and provide if you want someone to pray for you, which is pretty cool. Another aspect of this book is you can do it as a workshop, you can do it as an individual Bible study, or a small group study. So it's pretty cool. And I walk you through how to do that or give you little ideas. So when I was working on the book, I literally was thinking to myself, okay, if I was doing this by myself, what would I want out of a book study?
Yeah.
If I'm doing it in a group, like what would I want? And there's also examples of how to do certain activities before you get into the activity. So, which is pretty cool. So like if you're by yourself and you're like, I don't know how to do this, I literally give you an example of like what that would look like if you're doing that particular activity.
And then this one is for women. So like I looked through the book and you have several women that you kind of highlight in the book. And why did you choose these women to highlight?
Well, because they do in their time. So in this particular book, we have Deborah, Ruth, and Esther. All of these women in the book show a level of boldness within their times back then. So it goes through how are they bold, how did they exercise that, depending upon like what their situation was. And in Bible studies or on your own, you can study that. You can talk about it with your group. And then another cool aspect of the book is basically there is a section in there where which you just closed it. This section here basically is I have a put it into practice section for each of the women of the Bible. So how are you going to put into practice or exercise how to be bold like Deborah, how to be bold like Ruth and Esther. And there's a lot of note taking too. So I give a lot of space for that. Which I've already gotten feedback on, which that's good because
I see it's a lot of QR codes. So if you hover over the QR code with your phone, what happens then? As far as like, how does it come up?
Okay, so so the opening, there's a QR code for the introduction. So it gives you an introduction of bold, becoming bold in a fallen world, because there's a lot of stuff going on in the world today. And there's also a cool assessment that you take in the beginning, the spiritual gifts assessment that gives you your top 3 spiritual gifts to like set the tone for the rest of the study that you do have to do. Each of the QR codes, as you were stating, when you hover over it, take a picture of it, it has the interactive videos for that particular section. So Esther, Ruth, and Deborah, they all have the QR code. Actually, let's show the page where the QR code is. Yeah, so this is Esther. So for an example, in the opening page here, it has the QR code that you would watch, obviously, before you go deeper into the study for that particular woman in the Bible.
Okay. And then what makes this different from like other interactive books or just other spiritual women books or things of that nature?
I think what makes Bold different is obviously, once again, I don't know if it's necessarily different in this sense where you can do it as an individual Bible study, a small group study, or a workshop. But for me, I think what's different is I like a lot of color. I've done a lot of Bible studies that were in depth. Like I give a lot of the Bible studies
Yeah.
that. This is not a dig at others, but I'm just going to speak on this. So
Yeah.
I like a lot of color. I want to see videos because some are different types of listeners. They're more visual learners, some are kinesthetic, you know, and this has a little bit of everything. So even when you get into the activities, there's a lot of questions to kind of collab with the ladies, talk, and like, you know, really get other viewpoints depending on what the story is that you guys are studying together. And then also, like I said, the interactive activities are super cool. I'm excited for the burying the old activity because
Mm.
that's another acronym for bold. And we talk about how we can bury the old. I don't want to give too much away for the
Yeah.
book,
Yeah.
but anyways, it's interactive. You're not going to be bored because, like I said, if I'm going through a Bible
Yeah.
study, I want to see a lot of color. I want to see, like, you know, oh, there's things I can click on. I can watch a video.
Yeah.
There's questions to like ask yourself or ask the group of women. And then another surprise for this is that I'm already working on a bold men's
Yeah, so that's what
series.
I was gonna get into next. It's like,
Well, yeah.
I know that you're almost done with that one,
Mm-hmm.
and it will be similar but
Mm-hmm.
different, obviously, because you have men of the Bible. Um,
I even want to do a bad girls of the Bible. I
oh,
talked about that with some of the ladies. So I want to act, obviously we're starting this one, so we're excited for this series to see
yeah,
how it goes. And then I do want to finish the men before I go into like the bad girls
yeah.
series.
And I
So
know you and the ladies are studying this through the ladies ministry at church now.
mm-hmm.
And um so how do you find, or well, first, how where would they go to find these? Because I know they're on all platforms like Amazon. Is it a couple other things that they might be able to go to find these on?
So this currently is obviously based on the publishers. It's already on at least 200 platforms,
Yeah.
but the main ones I would say is I already looked. So Barnes and Noble, it's on Barnes and Noble. It is on Amazon. Those are like the easiest and obviously the most popular that the publishers
Yeah.
did say. And then obviously there's another. I don't know the names of these other companies, but I do know like some of the bookstores here in Arizona. They go
Yeah.
through only certain publishing certain companies that this book is also on.
Mm.
So if some of the stores want to buy it in bulk and they already have a particular platform place, I guess that they go to get their books, then
Yeah,
it's
it's on
on
that
there. It's
platform.
already on there as well. But the main ones are that I know of right now too. The other ones I don't know. I don't want to mess up the names,
Yeah.
but Barnes and Noble and then also
And
Amazon. It is
and if
on.
you're watching this, we will, if you send us a message and you want to find a link, we'll send you the link. If you leave a comment, like, subscribe, and then all that, we'll send you a link where you can go and purchase the book. And they do come in hard. This is a hardcover, and they
Yeah.
have paperback covers for a little bit less expensive. And they're not even they're good a good price.
Well, it's good quality book. So like I
Yes.
said, it's a lot of pages. Like I just ordered the hardcover purposes. I want to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's very nice. Like I said, super like colorful, super detailed. This is like the spiritual gifts test that you take.
Mm.
It's like your personal keepsake. So after
Yeah.
you take the spiritual gift test, I'm sorry, you mark your answers. And that kind of sets the tone for the rest of the
Yeah.
Bible study, like being bold in your gifts. Based on the women. So I think it's going to be super great. Super
Okay.
great. I don't even
And
know
I
how to like.
know, like, for you, you've been like super busy. How do you find balance to between everything? Because I know you're a director at your job for
Mm-hmm.
Autism Academy, and then you're in school,
Mm-hmm.
to get your doctorate degree, and you recently got married, and then
Mm-hmm.
church and just life. How do you find balance in that?
Some things I purposely do ahead of time. So I'm very intentional with my time.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're more intentional and like you stay in prayer and like you stay grounded, it kind of helps you even on those hard days. Like for instance, yesterday I was up like at 5 a.m. Right. So it depends on my weekend. May I say on my weekend. Sometimes you might want to sleep in, but it's just kind of you got to get stuff done. And then when you do it stuff ahead of time, it kind of helps just in case something unforeseen happens. So that's something that I also tell my staff. Like there's
Yeah.
some things you may not want to do. You feel like, oh, I have another month to do it. I have time to do this. But if something unforeseen happens, at least you know, like on the back end, you have like a certain amount of work already done. But then, like I said, it's being intentional with your time. So if I know like I have to like get time in with you and all of that, then I try to like, make
Yeah.
time. Like, hey, you got to do your work because this is like, husband wife time. I don't know how to
Yeah, I
say.
mean, and then I know you're working on stuff for Pastor and helping him with books, and
Mm-hmm.
she's busy. I call her my little wealth of knowledge because she's always doing something. So one of the other questions I did have for you, if you had to put these things in order, and I'm gonna throw out names, I want you to put them in order of importance to you. So
Okay.
work, being a wife, school, and God. So name them in your order.
Okay, so first is God because that
Mm-hmm.
helps ground me to be a better wife. So I
Yes.
would say that's two. And then um
So God,
God, wife,
wife,
I would say. And then what are the other two?
work, and school.
Okay, so I would say right now school
Okay.
is most important because that helps me get more tools under my belt for work in order to
Okay.
be a better director for my
Okay.
students.
And that's a good list. Just being grounded spiritually, that's your umbrella, going forward anyway. So that, like you
Mhm.
said, God always gonna
God
come
grounds
first.
me.
Um, and then being a wife, you're supposed to have your husband up there too. So
Mhm.
family. But no, so that's a good list. The last question I had for you is, what's next? Because I know you're working on something. I don't want to announce that. So what's next that you can talk about?
I know.
Um,
Talk about
that
too
you
much, right?
have, like, what's next for you?
I don't know what's next. Sometimes because we don't know what could come up to where God is like, I want you to go in this direction. For
Mm-hmm.
instance, even before I became a director 8 years ago, I would have never thought today that that's where I would be.
Yeah.
And even though like I was kind of going on the route to leadership anyway, shout out to my leaders out there. I didn't know that where I'm at today would have been thrown at me
Okay.
sooner than later. Because I have my own plans, right? But oops, sorry, I hope it doesn't make it. But you know the statement like if you want to make God laugh, tell him your
Your
plans.
plans,
And
yes.
so I learned over the years not to do that because he may have something totally different to
Yeah.
where I don't want to be surprised or shocked if God gives me another opportunity. But yeah, that's I don't know what's next. I want what's next is whatever God has
God's
for
will.
me,
Yeah.
whatever God's will is, Lord willing.
We were just talking about that in church today, and I think that's very
Mhm.
important to kind of let. They say let God take the wheel. A lot of times we
Mhm.
want God to take the wheel until we going down the path we didn't think we would be going, and we want to take it back. But just having that faith in God that He's guiding us, just giving Him all freedom to do what He wants to do, just using us as a vessel. I think it's important.
I had something else real quick.
Good.
So, um, also this book obviously was in the works before like I met my husband. So it is still under Kenya Perkins.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously the next bold book, I don't know to make it easier. If I'll keep it under Kenya Perkins, I'm actually Kenya Johnson now. So I probably might change the other bold book for men. At that point, it'll be Kenya Johnson. Dr. Kenya Johnson because
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm finishing up my doctorate this year, which I
Yeah.
can't believe that that's happening. But I don't walk until 2027. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's like one thing I do want to say, and we'll probably just share the link in this video. We'll
Yeah.
just share the link that way,
They can click on
yeah,
it.
they can click. You guys can click on it. I'll probably just do the Amazon link, because that would probably be easier. But I do also want to say thank you to my husband, because you've been like super super supportive, and yeah, I've been emotional lately. I don't know why, but because it's hard when sometimes you get around certain people or individuals, and sometimes they might not intentionally, but they might stump your growth. So pay attention to that, to where
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you have to really stay persistent in pursuing like what your purpose is and what God has for you. But God is always on time, which we
Yeah.
talked about that too this weekend at church. So I do feel like everything's for a reason. And like I feel like I have the perfect partner to, always get someone that supports you, that pushes you, that doesn't like slow you down and what you want to do. And like I truly, truly like thank you for just being there for me and
I mean,
not being a buster. No, I'm just kidding.
it's all
Just
God, because
kidding.
I
I love
believe
this
that we have to stay in individual prayer as well as corporate prayer,
prayer. Yep.
and that's what helps keep
Yeah.
us together and just letting God lead us forward. So
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty much it. I just wanted to give y'all an update on, my wife's journey. Her book is out now on Amazon. Go like, share, support it. Trust me, you won't be disappointed because God did a work in this book. Everybody that has purchased it thus far just raves about it and loves it. So, we'll see y'all
Yeah.
on the next episode.
Yeah.
See ya.